Good morning, colleagues. Can you hear me? Perfect. Yeah, I think so. Can you start? Okay. Good morning, colleagues, once again. Am I audible? Can you hear me at the back properly? Okay. Colleagues, we're going to start with the proceedings of our program today. And so to kick off the proceedings, I would like to say good morning to our eThekwini leadership, represented by our city mayor, the Honorable Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda. I would also like to say good morning to the chairperson of the Governance and HC Committee, Councillor Nkosentle Madlala. Also good morning to Councillor Mzitu in his absentia. He is at the special impact meeting. He is the councillor for Ward 38, where we are situated this morning. I would also like to say good morning to Dr. Gumede in absentia. He is our acting city manager for this current week. Welcome to all the DCMs present, unit heads as well as deputy heads. Good morning to our sister municipality colleagues as well as our esteemed guests representing the various sectors being academia, business and our civil associations. And lastly, a good morning to all the staff members present today, virtually and physically, within your various positions. Welcome to the second annual Customer Services Lecture, which is going to be delivered by our mayor. I am Silindo Gutlekongo, and I will be directing the proceedings of this morning. So before we get into the gist of the program, we're just going to do some general housekeeping, and we'll start with the evacuation procedure. We do have our fire marshal, Utemba Sishange, over there in the corner. He will then direct us in the event of a fire or any disaster that would require us to evacuate the premises. Temba would direct us. I do ask that colleagues, we do follow his instruction and leave the premises in an orderly manner. We would be proceeding to my right and what would be your left, down the escalators and out into the open parking, and from there we would get further instructions. In terms of our toilets, you will be able to go to the toilet should you require a comfort break through the library, and you will then be directed by the personnel in the library in terms of where you can then use the toilets and the direction thereof. And then in terms of load shedding, we will not have any load shedding during the proceedings. We are scheduled for 2 o'clock to 4 p.m., so we're thankful for that. So colleagues, can we please rise and welcome our mayor, His Worship Councillor Kaunda, who will then be delivering the opening address of the lecture under the theme towards a community center customer service experience. Can we?
Thank you very much. You may be seated. My apologies for the late start of this noble program, the lecture that you are conducting today. I was delayed at Inanda on service delivery issues to address some of the engineering challenges which communities are still faced with. Program Director, Councillor Nkosentle Madlala, the chairperson of the governance cluster, who's also my chairperson. Sometimes I forget to report to you as my chairperson, as a mayor, but technically we are reporting to you. who's also the Deputy Secretary of the ANC in this region of eThekwini. We also wish to greet our Deputy City Manager, Baba Umagaye, DCM Mcele, who's responsible for governance and international relations in the municipality. We also wish to recognize Mr. Sipho Shezi from the civic movement, who will also be presenting this lecture to us. Mr. Mandla Kanozulu Keswa, we recognize you, Nkokeli, the CEO of Word of Mouth. So, word of mouth is relevant to the lecture. Dr. Ndogozo Makoba, Director of Ndogozo Makoba Research and Consulting, we recognize your presence. Ms. Elsin Skuman, we recognize you as a Director of AMS Attorneys and the Bluff Ratepayers Association, whom we have had interaction with, and other ratepayers association in the city. All stakeholders, all our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, even those who are following us on the live streaming that we are having in this program, members of the media, good morning, Sanborn. I can feel you. Yeah, kwesinye isikhathi kungabafili nje abantu lisanibona bekubuke uphinde lisanibona bekubuke nje mesibona ukuthi aha but thank you very much for being alive. We are delighted to welcome you to this second edition of the Mayoral Customer Service. This is lecture which seeks to instill customer-centric culture within the municipality of eThekwini. The need for this engagement was necessitated by our desire to improve customer care following ongoing complaints from our residents and businesses about the unsatisfactory customer service they receive. Bafowethu be-sound system angazi noma ingoba le ipika ibheke ngapha yini kodwa khona ungqubuzane engikuzwayo. Kuzwayo mina kuphela. Mina ngiyakuzwa ngqubuzana. Anikuzwa ngalapha. Ngiyazwa khona into eshayisanayo. Kodwa ngingaqhubeka ngisezwakala. Hayi vese akufuneka uzizwe wena fanele uzizwe abantu. Ngicathi ku right mangizwa yini ngoba mina futhi ngizizwakala. The need for this engagement was necessitated by such a desire to improve customer care. Oh, ayikulungile. Asicisheke le. Si-off le. Simane siyisuse. Ngoba ngiyathanda nokuthi ngibuke mase ngisithile akufuneki manikhuluma nomuntu ethe vese emnyama ngebala mase kuphinde kube ne-mic emsithayo. Therefore, it is our hope that as we look for solutions, we'll be joined by all relevant stakeholders that are present today to ensure that we build a city of our dreams. We want to underline the fact that as we are faced with so many challenges, providing quality services to our residents requires a strong collaboration with all social partners, including academia, business, civil society, and government. We are pleased that in our midst we have representatives from all these sectors who are here to share their knowledge and expertise. The issue of collaboration featured prominently yesterday when we hosted a breakfast celebration for PhD graduates in the municipality, about 40 of them wearing their red gowns. We met with them yesterday in this city. They are the employees of this city. We still expect more. We only have 2 professors, so we want to supersede such a number so that we are able to have a city that has got all the knowledge that it requires using the expertise of those employees. In his address, the University of KwaZulu-Natal Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, Professor Musa Moshabel, emphasized the need for government and academic institutions to work together to find impactful and life-changing solutions to our challenges that we are faced with. Professor Mashabela committed the academia to avail its resources to ensure we develop new models and approaches to accelerate service delivery in our communities. These scientifically based interventions will not only give us an insight into the source of our challenges, but they will also help us to address the triple threat of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Therefore, we want you to seize this opportunity that has been provided by the University of KwaZulu-Natal and other academic institutions in the city, so that as management, you can be able to make a decision that are based on research. This will go a long way in improving service delivery and customer care in our municipality. As the leadership of the city, we are acutely aware that improving customer care calls for the municipality as an employer to provide adequate tools of trade to employees, particularly the frontline staff, to perform their duties efficiently. We still need to do more to ensure that we give you the right tools of trade, so that when you execute your responsibilities, there are no stumbling blocks in terms of the availability of resources in ensuring that we service our communities. Equally, we expect our employees to be courteously and treat our customers with respect in line with Batupele principles. If we are to succeed in our endeavors to build a capable developmental state, we need this type of a public service cadre, a highly ethical public servant with integrity and fully committed to serve its people or her people. So it's important that we play around this and ensure that all of us, we are highly committed. People find us wherever they are looking for help, and we are always ready to give them what they need. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to commend our staff members for continuing to work hard to improve quality of services we are rendering to the public. Importantly, we are pleased that even independent institutions are recognizing our efforts. For instance, for the past 5 years, we have been receiving an unqualified audit opinion from Auditor General, of course, with matters that we still need to deal with. Recently, we scooped the award for the top performing project at the Annual Association of Municipal Electricity Utilities for implementing an automated load shedding system, which means our schedules are predictable, which makes it easy for our public to plan according to what we have scheduled the load shedding. We want to pride ourselves that in the Republic of South Africa, we are one of the cities that manages load shedding very well. Even businesses have commended us that we minimize the impact of load shedding in this city. In other cities, they are in trouble. We do this because we have our employees who are dedicated to do that. If there's no one who can arrest you, give yourself a big round of applause for that. Also in September this year, the municipality won an award at the 2023 National South African Institution of Civil Engineers Awards for the 9 million pedestrian bridge we constructed eZimbabweni ngasemasomini as the best community-based project in the country. Aneyishayele ihlombe nala. La nje ngasePhilani Mall, ePhilani Valley Mall, silakhe lapho lelo bridge kuthiwa impela liwashaye wonke akhona eSouth Africa ngobuhle balo nangozomjiniyela, hayi ubuhle kuphela, ezomjiniyela eyifakwe lapho. Konke lokho kwenziwa, and that bridge, let me give you this information. It was not designed by consultants. It was designed by employees of eThekwini from engineering department. Not by consultants. internally, and we have won this award. So siyibambe lapho ke niubambe lo shuni ningawuyeki. Ushuni wentuthuko, ushuni ukushintsha impilo zabantu bakithi zibe ngcono. Iwona shuni esiubambile loyo. Singashintshi lapho. Ningiyekele eceleni njaha abangafuni ukubamba. Ningalokho niyifaka lapho nina. Nina njengoba nihlezi la anikho kulaba abangafuni ukusebenza bamavila. Maye musani lokho eningihlupha ke musu ukujaha amavila musu ukujaha amavila afuna ukujahwa. Manje umeya ngala uyawajaha nani nijaha umeya ngala. Meya ulokhu uthi khona amavila awekho yini kanti amavila. Akhona. Nina enisebenzayo qhubani bakwethu. Qhubeka umsebenzi wesizwe. Abantu bajabule bebona usizo belithola ngokusheshsha. Ladies and gentlemen, we are concerned that our residents who are our customers are not happy about the level of service they are receiving from the municipality in some instances. This is demonstrated by complaints and insults in various social media platforms. While some of these insults may be politically motivated, we must pause and reflect on how we can change the situation, because many of these concerns we are receiving are legitimate. Many of these concerns are legitimate. That means there's something that we are not doing right somewhere. So we need to perfect our work. We need to ensure that we are responsive to those complaints. For us, it's not to respond to them when they insult us or when they raise these complaints. Our response should be about actions. We want to see their lives being changed and zibe impilo zabantu abazi beqhaje ngokuhlala eThekwini. They must be proud of being the residents of this city. As part of this introspection, we must commit to implement radical changes in the way we deliver services to the public. Radical changes. Not just changes, radical changes. Part of those radical changes is the implementation of the zonal service delivery model. Zonal service delivery model is where we'll say we cluster these wards here in this zone, and we allocate resources, we allocate jetting machines, we allocate water tankers, we allocate graders, we allocate the other machines, all the machines that are needed to deal with issues of service delivery. Now, for us to do that, you also attach human resource to that plan. Not only the machinery, human resource. People of these areas, they must know when they wake up early in the morning and they are faced with challenges, who are the officials who are responsible for them to respond to their challenges on a daily basis. And those officials, when they wake up early in the morning, they are not looking at the entire city. Their focus is in the zone where they are servicing that community effectively. Hayi lento uthi umuntu avuke nje namhlanje ngashona ngapi ngoba ubheke lonke idolobha lo muntu ngeke zabe effective. We need that response which is efficient and effective. So that's what we need to do. Those are radical changes we are talking about. Not this thing of growing in the head offices and we become bigger in head offices, but where things are happening and where people live, our footprint is never found. Manje kungani sokhulisa ama head offices akhule abemakhulu, kodwa on the ground when people they are looking for services, we are nowhere to be found. So we need to turn the tide around. We need to change that. In this regard, we welcome the launch of the new mobile app, which has gained popularity with over 30,930 downloads since July this year. This mobile app is a major step forward for the city in embracing digital platforms and transformation as we aspire to become a smart city, and to enable customers to easily access their bills and to lodge complaints using the very same app. An average of 1,099 faults or queries are logged on weekly basis. So now this system is going to enable customers, but it goes beyond lodging your complaint. It also allows you to check your bill. Beyond checking your bill, it also allows you to use your card, your debit card, to pay, to make a payment digitally. Because now this thing of manual, ningasho soqeda umsebenzi, khona indlela ingakho sizonisusa kakhulu sinifake emphakathini sisebenze umphakathi lokho kwenziwa machine ngala kube kwenzeka but thina sibe lapha la izinto zenzeka khona emphakathini. So that's what we are going to be doing. Apart from the mobile app, our customer care unit Sizakala Centers is working jointly with trading services and revenue management to improve our customer service and experience through an integrated customer relations management system. Ngiyalibona leligama lizokala lelikhulu kodwa lizoletha ithelo. This essentially means that customers will be able to log a fault at any Sizakala center. The system will be implemented in phases, and by 2025, we will have fully integrated all the customer services processes in the city. Early this year, the municipality approved the rationalization of all service delivery contact centers, namely revenue, electricity, water, and sanitation. The contact centers will be realized into the Sizakala Customer Service Unit by December this year. Shuthi akuyona-ke promise le i-commitment. I-promise ihlukile DCMcele, where you come and promise people. I-promise when you see somebody saying ngicela ngizokushada kodwa ungamsamshada, i-promise le. Kodwa i-commitment ukuthi uma ake siyixoxeni le ndaba. Ngibone ngathi singawakho umuzi la. Konje siyavela ekhaya ngosuku oluthize. Masiqeda lapho umbondo wenzeka nini? Masiqeda lapho umshado, umgcaco wenziwa nini? Then that's a commitment. It's not a promise. But a promise ila uthi nje uma ubona umuntu ukuthi hayi ngamkhohlisa lo. Uyezwa umshado uyezwa. Naye believe ngempela ukuthi umshado usukhona. So this is what we are going to deliver. This is in response to the public complaints that the contact centers are inefficient with long call waiting times. The rationalization will include the multi-skilling of staff, which means that customers will no longer need to call 3 different contact centers to receive a service. This project is currently in the consultation process with organized labor as we continue to engage them to accelerate this process. We are also in the explorative phase of acquiring implementing an omni-channel system in the contact center. The omni-channel system will include an upgraded WhatsApp, which will have electricity, water, sanitation, roads, revenue, and waste functionalities. It will also be integrated to the municipal website. This is part of our drive to expand accessibility to services and improve our turnaround times when responding to the citizens of this city. Our service delivery units are also working jointly to implement business continuity plans. This includes sourcing budgets to implement alternative energy sources and networks that will ensure that systems, servers, and staff continues to operate during load shedding and network downtime. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you are aware that we have been talking about these plans for quite a long time, and we see when we visit communities that their patience is waning. Therefore, it is important for us to work together to ensure that the deadlines we have put for ourselves are met, and where there are unnecessary delays, there must be consequences in that regard. So as I take leave, we wish to guarantee you that we are concerned about the killing of our employees in water and sanitation department. We are taking that matter serious. We've been losing employees in that unit. We are not saying in other units not happening, but there are more numbers in that unit. So we are engaging the law enforcement agencies to deal with that situation and to put it to rest. So we wish to express our heartfelt condolences to the families of those colleagues who have departed during executing their own responsibilities in the city. With these remarks, we want to welcome you all, and we look forward to fruitful engagements and inputs from our esteemed guests who are present today. We are confident that this lecture will inspire all of us to be ambassadors and proponents of the Batupile principles going forward. With those few words, thank you very much. You are welcome.
Thank you to Honorable Mayor Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda for the welcoming address, opening up our lecture under the theme Customer Experience being driven through community development and community participation and collaboration with our various stakeholders across business, academia, as well as the private sector. So colleagues, we're going to now get into the main gist, and I would like to welcome our speaker who's going to deliver a presentation for us on behalf of our theme. We've got Mr. Siposhezi, he's here on my left, who is the founder of the Civic Movement of South Africa and is also the CEO of Sirius Holdings. Mr. Shezi holds a master's degree from the University of Sussex in International Relations and Affairs and has over 20 years of experience in both the public and private sector, with his expertise spanning over your property management, your infrastructure development, as well as your policy and strategy design. And so with that, colleagues, can you please welcome Mr. Siposhezi onto the podium. Colleagues, I do ask that you please minimize movement and also, side comments. We are in a very big premises and it does tend to echo, and so in the spirit of participative engagement, can we please focus on the speakers and minimize movement? Thank you.
Is it, you don't have another one? Yeah. No, don't worry, sis. Thank you very much, Program Director. Honorable Mayor Kaunda, Councillor Madala and other councillors present. The DCM and other senior executive core of the Metro, officials and distinguished guests. I've been requested to present a mayoral customer service lecture, not to give a speech. This joins a series of similar lectures that have been organized and presented in the Metro, and therefore I'll be extremely cautious not to subject this audience to the usual that they've heard and engaging in the past. There are givens which I would like to highlight as contributing there are givens which as constituting the situational context of this lecture, and I just call them givens. The size, shape, and character of the metro population is interwoven the high rate of unemployment, high dependence on social security, an exodus of professional skills, household income on a downward spiral, social challenges, and the inclusive city, build a natural environment and the state of a sustainable city, governance challenges, and the state of the city governance, insurmountable and unpredictable relationship between population trajectories or trends and a productive city. It is largely in this context that I have to deliver my input this morning, not as a lecture, but rather a conversation about people and our respective philosophies of management, leadership, and responsibility to our communities, customers or clients, and colleagues and associates in the workplace. Customer service is about dignity and worth of the individual and how these relate to a person's personal perspective on people and ethical standards. The soul of the organization, and I repeat, the soul of the organization is fundamental to customer service. Its culture, philosophy, dignity, and belief system of all people that comprise it. It is these that determine the success of any organization that it can make in the lives of those it serves. Equally, these also matter because it is not merely the work ethic and commitment to success that measure the success of any organization, but rather the impact that all of us within the organization can make in the lives of those who have the opportunity to associate with and to serve. And this starts with leadership in the organization, which has a responsibility to the ethical, professional, and personal development of every individual in the organization. A recognition that people provide the life, the vitality, the conscience of the organization. Value, which is often spoken about, is an outcome or product of collective effort in any organization. Value measured in who you are becoming, value measured in what you are producing, and value measured in your combined effort. The totality of all these shows that value, or the notion of value, is not atomistic. It's not a standalone concept. It is not premised on individualism, the I, the me. Most of us have never thought of our organizations as lumps or of the customers we serve as mushy balsamic. But it is reality that markets and the needs and wants of our customers change, and the organization must go with the flow if it is to float and survive. The demands of the organization is to produce results, deliver effective and efficient service, must be consistent with the development of the person. In a world of downsizing, re-engineering, and restructuring, where does the person fit? The task of leadership is to train and motivate people to serve so that they will do a more effective job, be more productive in their work, and yes, even be better people. It is important for the organization to have a common set of principles, which is embodied by all those that form part of it as a common standard that provide unity of purpose. This does not mean that as a collective we'll not do everything right. We'll do everything right, I'm sorry. We experience our share of mistakes, but because of the stated standard and reason for that standard, we cannot hide our mistakes. They are flushed out in the open for correction, and in some cases, even for forgiveness. This common standard should not be used as a simplistic standard of our financial success, gauging how much we comply with the Municipal Finance Management Act or the Public Finance Management Act cannot be applied as some mathematical formula. It must provide a foundation and a reference point for action. It is a living set of principles that allows the people in the organization to confront life's difficulties and failures with the assurance that the starting point, which is this standard I'm talking about, never changes and provides a reason for hope above it all. In a eThekwini municipality, we live and work in a diverse and pluralistic environment. The variety of people drawn from different race groups, cultural beliefs and practices, political organizations, diverse and complex religious and faith beliefs, they all constitute a customer base which we are obliged to serve with dignity, with potential, and freedom to choose. They constitute an environment for whom we work, and they give meaning to our work. Our daily challenge is not just to talk about our belief system and value system, but to live our value system and belief system in the way we recognize and treat others, including those who don't agree with our belief system and our value systems. If you don't live your belief system and your value system, then you don't believe it. You've got to live it on a daily basis. Regardless of your starting point, the principle that can be embraced by all is the dignity and the worth of every person, every worker. It becomes a living principle as the mission of the organization to include personal development and growth of the workers. The linking of the performance of the task with the development of the person forces the organization and its leadership to keep asking what is happening to the person in the process. What are they becoming in their work? Is the task as defined, the tools as designed, and the training as provided contributing to or detracting from the work or the worker? It's a self-energizing and correcting process that never over and is the basis for our quest for continuous improvement in how we serve. Any worker can be categorized as either drudgery or creative. A given task or a job, no matter how mundane, is not determinative. The difference is to be found in the soul or spiritual side of the person doing the task. It is that part of our being that seeks a meaning for life and work. As the person sees a reason for the task that is personally satisfying and rewarding, and has the confidence that the mission of the organization is in alignment with his or her personal growth and development, a powerful force is unleashed that results in creativity, productivity, service quality, growth, and profit and value. For any organization that aspires to be successful and provide optimum service delivery to its clients or customers, it is of critical importance to value each person as an individual with unique skills and talents. Recognize the benefit and reality of diversity. Harness the power of common purpose. Celebrate work, productivity, and profit, where that is appropriate. Encourage empowerment, ownership, and accountability. Recognize that learning is a lifelong experience. Demand of leadership, service by example, and accept and build on the abilities of ordinary people and expect extraordinary performance. There are only two questions in life that are relevant. Only two questions. Who are you and what do you want? It is not the answering machine that can answer these questions. Given everything else about the benefit of digital technology, about the benefit of 4IR, it is people that can respond to the unexpected and surprise the customer with extraordinary performance. And that's the reason why I'm putting the notion of the development of the soul of the organization and the development of people at the center of the lecture that I've been asked to deliver. Only people can serve. Only people can lead. Only people can innovate and create. Only people can love and hate. We'll never be able to pay people what they are really worth. We pay people salaries and wages and incentives and make monetary standard the only measurement of their worth. But if we are true advocates for people, we must not limit measurement of human worth to what people are paid. Instead, the value of individuals must also be recognized by the contribution they make or are making in the lives of others, including the people they serve. In the organization, people contribute in three ways. They contribute value to customers with the products and services they provide. They contribute value to principals. Their principals, as their combined effort is worth more than the sum of efforts of individual participants. And thirdly, they contribute value to each other as they learn together and experience the satisfaction of accomplishment and advancement as they develop their own self-worth. It's amazing to see the duplication and reproduction process that occurs when the value and worth of individuals are identified and those individuals learn the joy and excitement of investing themselves in the development of others. I also need to highlight the importance of truth, honesty, and straightforwardness. These are critical tools for optimum performance and service delivery. They are a prerequisite for a successful organization. Truth cannot be compromised. And secondly, everyone must know that they have a job to do, and no one should benefit at the expense of another. Everyone should be treated with dignity and worth, and the combined efforts for the benefit of the organization, or members, or employees, and customers, not for the select few. We must always be willing to serve in the context of what I've outlined. I want to share with you that the fences and first post are not the same thing. I want to give you this analogy of people who walk the fence line. You know, the two neighbors that walk the fence line, they work together, building and rebuilding the wall of their combined effort, because they share the wall. It's a fence line. And that is the kind of notion that we need to have in servicing the customer. We need to see ourselves as two neighbors that are walking the fence line and are sharing a common experience in the service of the customer. In the process, we learn to communicate, we learn to complement each other, and not exclude because of non-essential differences. There are fence posts of exclusion and fences of relationship. It's important to draw that distinction. The fence posts of exclusion and the fences for building relationships. Providing your employees a cause does not mean you ignore the monetary side of the equation. A well-designed compensation plan not only provides a way to share results, but allows you to link cause to the reality of where that pay comes from. And that pay comes from a satisfied customer. It is therefore important to provide recognition amongst peers and with customers. This becomes an essential ingredient in the motivation process. The municipality may be doing itself good if it initiates special activities and functions to support the family as part of its operations. Healthy families are essential to an ordered society and to effective customer service and care, particularly in the light of what appears to be a growing number of family units in our communities whose social fabric structure has collapsed. Whenever you make a direct decision that affects your workers, you are really making a decision that affects their families too. Promotion, relocations, or changes in a position or assignment are not limited to the work environment. They travel home and have profound effect on every family member. And that is the reason why it's important that the municipality begins to actually extend the support to families in one way or another. We're not only mixing skills and talents in a work environment, we're also mixing cultures, races, and gender. And we need to be always mindful of that. We need to be mindful of the fact that customers are people, not organizations or firms. And therefore, it's important to avoid taking customers for granted and leaving that customer alone until the relationship dies off. The reason why we're having the kind of service delivery protest that we're having in the country is because we have actually allowed this relationship to die off. And I think that as officials, as professionals, we need to take responsibility for that. The day-to-day implementation of the mission statement, objectives and goals must add up to more and more customers being served. And we also need to bear in mind that the higher one gets in an organization, the less he or she knows what the customer needs and wants are. So then, why do we keep on promoting our best performing people further and further away from the customers? Why do we set an expectation in the organization that success, title, compensation, recognition, and perks is directly related to distance and layers of management between the achiever and the customer? And why do we expect and only empower leaders who are far from customers to be primary change makers of the organization? The other aspect I would like to highlight is that we do need to cure, and radically so, the cancer of bureaucracy. Avoid being caught up in the activities of the layers, but not in results for the customers, defending the status quo, preserving a position or a job, maintaining employment, but not initiating and making decisions for change and improvement. This debilitating indifference curve must be redefined, and it's probably another way of talking about re-engineering, so that the people with knowledge and information of what the customer needs and wants are enabled and empowered to innovate. As I conclude this lecture, I want to highlight the notion of servant leadership. And I'll make sure that I don't feed you again with the usual stuff of Peter Drucker and other management gurus. But what I want to say is that servant leaders are givers, not takers. Their promise is to serve, and this promise is not dependent on title, position, level of compensation, authority limits, reporting relationships, or he is going to review one's action. Servant leadership is not dependent on any perceived importance or lack thereof of the specific signed task assigned. I have often said servant leaders must engage on what I've called the notion of the covenant of salt. There is a story that in the old times, the people of Israel, when they marry, the bride will bring a bowl of salt, and the bridegroom will also bring a bowl of salt. And as part of consuming and consummating this covenant, they will pour the salt together. And the moral of the story is that once that salt has been mixed, you are unable to differentiate which salt is for whom. And this is what I call the covenant of salt. And I think this is the kind of the bond that as servant leaders, we need to establish with the communities. Once we have decided that we are committing, we need to really commit and commit fully. A servant leader is not a bystander, a hired gun, or a holder of a position. He assumes leadership for the long term, not just for his own or her own short-term benefit. He treats promises made to the people as debt, as a liability. During my old times, when I was Director General of the Department of Public Works in the country, I used to be very fond of taking officials out for coffee. But I used to say, the coffee I buy you is a debt, is a liability. Somewhere down the road, I'm going to need a return. And I used to insist on that. And I think that's how we should actually treat servant leadership. People management is not about forms and procedure. It is about substantive structure that I've outlined in this lecture, and then the supportive policies. We do need to encourage voluntarism. We need to go back to the notion of voluntarism. And in my opinion, this will multiply the impact of work performed by officials to help build communities. But we really need to go back to voluntarism. We need to get partnership with communities back in form in order to get critical things done. I don't think that we can do it on our own. And we need to confront that reality. I think we need to change the model of doing things for the community and do things with the community. Up to this day, I regret the fact that we did not pursue the Masakane campaign as we had initially conceptualized it in the early 90s when we took over power. I think we need to actually engage on cleanup campaigns with the communities. I think that as a municipality on our own, we can't do it on our own. And we need this partnership. I got married at Jameson Park. and I've made it a ritual to visit Jameson Park every year on my wedding anniversary. And recently I felt the pain of the decline of our parks. And I think that we really do need to look into these partnerships. One of the things that we have to offer as a city is our landscape. And I think that if we talk to the tertiary institutions and get some of those landscape architects, students, to partner with us, we could actually derive some value out of those kind of partnerships. We do need private sector partnerships in a different format, and that's what I'm putting forward to this lecture, to address shared community programs. The problem of substance abuse and drug abuse is a commonly shared problem between ourselves and the private sector. When the drug addicts steal the cables, it affects the private sector. It affects their production capabilities. And I think we need to begin to actually identify these commonly shared concerns and commonly shared problems as the basis for the partnerships that I'm talking about with private sector. In my opinion, the private sector will not only provide human and financial resources in addressing these problems in the communities. It's not a question of rents, amounts that they bring, or the volunteer hours that they donate. But I think that private sector will also bring in the leadership and vision at a time when intricate societal problems confound our communities. I think we need to be humble enough to say that in our own right, as a municipality, as a metro, we cannot provide all the leadership that we need to deal with the kind of problems that confound us. And I think there is something that we can get from the private sector. No one program, no one approach, no one entity can tackle the critical education, public sector, human and environmental needs facing our communities. But partnership can, and it does assist. We need to strive, and unyieldingly so, for an organization where truth and disclosure are more common than lies, deceit, and cover-up. It is right to promote dignity within the organization as much as we can. I will be remiss, Program Director and colleagues, Honorable Mayor, if I don't conclude this lecture by touching on the issue of fraud awareness and corruption. I think employees of the Metro, in performing their official duties, must arrange their private affairs to ensure that confidence and trust in the integrity, objectivity, and impartiality of government are conserved. And in my opinion, professionals must be unapologetic about this. Employees must act in a manner that will bear close public scrutiny. I think private interest of employees must not be affected by government actions in which employees participate. Yes, gifts, hospitality, and other benefits can be accepted, but we need to make sure that they are within the bounds of ethical public service standards, and they are beyond suspicion. It is important that as professionals, as civil servants, our integrity is not compromised. I think we need to avoid preferential treatment in relation to official matters. And I think we need to avoid being placed under obligation of whatever sort. I have worn the T-shirt. And therefore, I can candidly say to professionals here, avoid being placed under obligation of whatever sort. That's what the country needs right now. I think you need to avoid committing a corruption offense for the purpose of promoting the election or with the intent to influence the result of an election. That's not your forte. In the context of the current dynamics happening in the country, I actually take the view that any party that is unable to actually carve its own space out there, then it's not worth the party. But you as officials, I think you need to deliberately and consciously avoid engaging in a corruption offense in order to assist an election or with an intention to influence the result of an election. The last point, Program Chair, we need to avoid doing what has not been articulated, badly or wrongly influencing tenders. We need to avoid this tendency. It's unarticulated stuff. We need to avoid this tendency of delaying the release and the execution and the adjudication of tenders because somebody has said, I think that as officials, we need to avoid that. And on that note, I'd like to thank you, Honorable Mayor, but in particular, I think I would be remiss not to thank the leadership at professional level, at municipal level, that saw it fit to invite me to give this customer service lecture. I think as a Claremont boy, I feel quite honored that DCM and your team have given me an opportunity to come and give this lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our speaker, Mr. Siposhezi. It's befitting that the audience of this lecture are our supervisors and our managers within the various units. And I think what we can take away from this lecture is that we need to make things right internally by empowering our staff, giving them the right resources and the right training, and not compromising on the core of the organization, which is a sound value system that doesn't compromise on integrity. And if we can get that right as managers and supervisors, then our staff are able to service our customers with dignity and with worth. And more especially, let us be givers and not takers in line with the servant leadership philosophy. Okay, so colleagues, we do have 4 panel members that I will be introducing to you and just summarizing their profiles, who will then be responding to the lecture that was delivered by Mr. Siposhezi, as well as responding to the theme, which is a community-driven customer services experience. So I would like to call up Mr. Mandla Ganozulu Keswa to join me on stage, along with Ms. Alison Skuman, as well as Dr. Ntokozo Makoba, and finally my Deputy City Manager, Mr. Sipho Cele. Oh wait, I still need to talk. Thank you. Colleagues, our first respondent to the lecture as well as to the theme is Mr. Mandla Ganozulu Keswa. Mr. Keswa has produced the locally acclaimed show such as Umkoka, and is an author, a creative, and a heritage practitioner. He has also developed a 3-question board game called Twasika, which is a Swahili name. Over and above that, he does have vast experience within the public sector, more particularly our South African police services, as well as within the entertainment industry, being the CEO of Word of Mouth Productions, which is founded by a local resident, Dr. Duma Gandlovu. Mr. Keswa studied public value management at the University of Cape Town and currently serves on the KZN Provincial Geographic Naming Committee. And so with that, colleagues, please a round of applause for Mr. Keswa.
Thank you very much. Sanbonani. Sanbonani. Niyaphila. Phakamise kancane mfowethu. Umshengu Shabalala wayethi mayehlola lento ethi okokuqala okwesibili. Siyakuhlola lokho. Greetings to the leadership of the city, the mayor, Bab Magala, the leadership in the officials, our main speaker, Baba, namhlanje impela sisuthi. We will leave this place much better than when we came in. I'm just praying that the lecture will be shared with us and also with the staff of the city, because it's quite rich. Yes, we were taking notes, but it would be nice to have the copy. If that is possible, that will be my humble request. We take quite a few things from the speech, from the lecture, but also from the remarks earlier on of the mayor. And as an artist, I like to take issues to the very personal level, because we are storytellers. We tell stories of the people. We deal with how people feel, how people act, how people react to all the issues. So for me, the whole concept of customer care and customer service, I want to start by saying maybe we do need to first understand that the term itself, the name itself, customer, maybe it's not a perfect a term for the setting of the public service. It's a term that we borrow from the private sector, from business. Now, why am I saying this? Is because it's important to be conscious that we have borrowed it so that we don't take it 100% as it is understood in business, because the kind of customer or client you are dealing with in the public service is different. When I run a business, I employ people as managers and staff and all of those things, and their duty is to make sure that my customers are happy, my customers are satisfied, and to serve the best interest, my best interest as the owner of the company, as the shareholder. The shareholder must always be happy. We know, we hear this a lot, but Magala, where there is that balance whether you make the citizens happy or you make the rating agencies and all these structures happy, and the investors. Who must be happy? Is it the investors or is it the citizens? With what we do, it's a tricky one, but luckily for me, I'm not in government, so I don't have to deal with those issues. I just wanted to say that it's important that we understand that it is borrowed. And the main difference is that in the public sector, the very person ugogo Khumalo that we call a customer is also the shareholder of this enterprise, is the ultimate boss, if we were to borrow from the terms of the private sector. So I am here employed to serve my ultimate boss. And people that we call politicians who are above us get a direct mandate from the very same Gogo Khumalo that I'm serving. So if Gogo Khumalo is unhappy with the service, he's going to fire the boss. She has that power. So she's not we're not in a competitive environment where you are not happy with my service, go to the next company next door, maybe you'll find happiness and all of those things. So I like very much the issue of saying at the center of this service is the issue of dignity. I took that away from the lecture, and I think it's very important. When Mam Khumalo walks in through a municipal facility, she must leave the facility a different person altogether because of the service she got. There are things that we have inherited in this country from our ugly history. One of them is inequality. But now this inequality seems to be carried through even in the manner our own government is servicing us, especially local government. I am privileged because I stay in 3 wards in the city. I grew up in Lamontville in Ward 74. That's where my home is, my family is. But I'm a resident in Tamtengwayo, Pasizwelbovu, Ward 100. But I'm also a resident in Ward 35, where I stay with my wife and my kids. I can tell you the experience, how I experience eThekwini municipality in those 3 wards is totally different. At Ward 100, we can stay for 2 weeks without water. There is no big issue, there is no explanation. When the water comes, it comes, we are happy, it's like Father Christmas has come. Everybody knows that in Ward 35 there was a shortage of water. I don't know for how many days, a very few days. The city almost came to a standstill. Mkhanga, there's no water. And I was like, what is this? You know? So these are the issues, as I say, that some of them we inherited them, that we need to be aware of them and we need to confront them and say, are we treating our citizens equally in the city as we provide services? Do we care to explain to Mr. Keswa when he is in Ward 100 as to why there is no electricity for 2 days, what is happening and when is the electricity coming? The same way I get a WhatsApp 5-10 minutes when electricity goes out and it's not normal load shedding. In the WhatsApp group, in the ward, within 5-10 minutes, there's an explanation. Lights are out, this is what is happening, or we are still following up, something is going to come, and so on and so forth. So we need to deal with that imbalance, Honorable Mayor. Our speaker today spoke about bringing back the culture of voluntarism. In a country called Rwanda, they like to say they are the cleanest country in the world. I've been there a few times. It is quite clean. It's very clean, and they beautify it. It reminds me of the old Durban days. You know, some of us were lucky in that Elamonville because we refused to go KwaZulu. So we remained under, we were called White Area, and we were serviced by the then Durban City Council. And they will beautify the township and will be like, wow, when you go in Mlazi, Kwamashu, you don't see these things. Elamonte, we had the library, swimming pools, these things in Mlazi, Mashu. And you'll be like, this is beautiful, and you liked it, and people owned it. They took part in it. In Rwanda, Mayor, every last Saturday of the month, they have a program called Umuganda. From the president down, they clean the streets. Every last Saturday of the month. You can look this up because now you can Google things. Google Umuganda. You will see. Every last Friday, Saturday of the month. This then, why would a president, a mayor, be in Amadanzane and be sweeping the streets? And I shouldn't. You know, it instills that culture that this is our city. Because what we see now, of course, all of us as citizens as well, we've got into the habit of just complaining. We like complaining. We don't take responsibility. Somebody must just do this. Kanti, the experience, Mayor speaks about clean audit queries, clean audits, and all of these things from Auditor General, the awards that we get as the city, and all of those things. There is one important thing that is very difficult to measure that we are engaging about today, and that is the customer experience and customer satisfaction. When I walk into I want to call this building by its name because lo mama wangikhulisa. Florence Mkhize, thank you. When I walk into Florence Mkhize, if you were to put somebody as I enter, and they asked me, as you are coming here, what do you want? What are your expectations? And you put somebody at the exit, when I've finished, and you asked me, did you get what you want? How do you feel about the service that you've got in here? I think you would get to understand as a manager as to whether people who work in here, they come out being satisfied or not. Because what is important is, do I treat this person with dignity? Now, another sad thing that is happening, Mayor and Bab Michael, in leadership, is that our officials in our city sometimes lack confidence in the systems of the city that they operate and that they are responsible for. Let me make an example for you. Next year, we are celebrating 90 years of Lamontville. Lamontville was built in 1934 by the city of Durban. It will be 90 years next year. And there's a number of activities that we are planning. Now, when we sat with the province, arts and culture, and the city of eThekwini, the city of eThekwini, Baba Magala has a budget to build a memorial wall for us as part of these celebrations. But the officials of the city in the meeting tell us, when do you want to do this thing? We say, well, we would like to unveil the memorial wall on 25 April. That's the day Mrs. Tobe was murdered. They say, our procurement, forget. Maybe let's talk to province and let's see if we can move money and procurement is done by province. Because, and you leave the meeting, you're like, oh my God, these people don't have confidence in their own system. And what do you take away as, because in this instance, I'm a customer to the city. Now you are saying to me, I'm talking to you in November about a project we started talking about in February this year. And you are saying you have no confidence that your city can procure this thing that we want to do in April next year. So this says, if there are challenges within the organization in terms of the processes, the systems that we work with, do we feel confident now as workers of eThekwini that we can contribute, we can suggest, we can help the system to enable us to do our work? If that is the case, then I cannot blame the officials, but I need to raise this issue so that the political leadership is aware that we are faced with these issues when we have to run projects. I don't even want to talk about those who are dealing with arts and culture, my first love, because one will then end up being quite personal. So we support the issue of voluntarism. We also believe that human capital is the most important asset of the city, but our expectation as your customers is that in turn, you make us the most important people that you are dealing with as an organization. So we do need to feel that we are serviced properly. And as I said, the issue of feeling is very difficult. Some issues, when the Freedom Charter says there shall be housing, security, and comfort for all, it's easy to measure houses because you can build houses and count them. Security is both ways. It's a function, but it's also a feeling where you feel secure. Earlier on, we were discussing with colleagues how when you walk in the CBD in Cape Town, you feel so safe like no other place in South Africa. And we don't know what Cape Town is doing, but we need to go there and just find out. You know, you walk at 11 p.m. in Cape Town, you speak to your phone in the CBD. You don't even see the police, but you just feel safe. There's something that we can learn from there. We may not like them, but there's something that I think we can learn from there. So Freedom Charter says there shall be housing, security, and comfort for all. And it is this comfort that was promised back in 1955 that we have to deliver on as a mandate to the citizens. And part of that comfort is the comfort in knowing that I have a government that is here to care for me, a government that listens to me, and a government that treats me with dignity. Baba says the two important questions: who are you? What do you want? I think they are very important, and they are important for the one who's serving the customer to ask themselves, but they are also important for that very same person to understand the customer. Who is this person? and what do they want. If I were in their shoes, then I would have to understand that I shouldn't turn back this mama and say, Ma, we can help you, but you have these 3 documents. There's 1 document missing. You must go back home and come back next week. I must be creative in my approach and say, how do I help this mama without breaking the law, without saying if these documents are mandatory, then I can do things that are not supposed to be done. But do I have empathy? Do I understand this person's situation? And do I want to resolve her issues? Umama Khumalo comes here. She has a problem. She doesn't work. She stays with grandchildren. Her grandchildren is tampered with the electricity meter in her house. You must empower Mam Khumalo. Give her back her dignity. Inform Mam Khumalo that, Ma, you see, we have a register here because you are in this situation of indigency and all of those things. We will register you. These are the benefits, blah, 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 blah. So Ma, you need to go home. And Ma goes home. She can speak with authority and say, in my house, no one does 1, 2, 3, because the municipality will come and help fix this thing, and I will make sure that we don't break the law, and then, therefore, I have my dignity back as Umam Khumalo. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you to Mr. Keswa. Colleagues, our city manager, before I call up our next speaker, drives for an inclusive city, which is going to reach accessible to the likes of your Mam Khumalo, and they're equally distributed for all citizens despite their creed. And so with that, I'm going to call up our next speaker, which is Ms. Alison Skuman, who is the director of, sorry, I just need to think, of AMS Attorneys Incorporated, specializing in conveyancing and client liaison. In a former life, Ms. Skuman was a marketing director, marketing manager for 5 years. She currently serves as a vice chairperson of the Bluff Ratepayers Association, where she champions for customer service as the key driver for community development. And so with that, colleagues, please can you help me welcome Ms. Alison Skuman.
Thank you. Are we all good? It's been a long morning. Good. I'm going to hand out 2 prizes. So how this is going to work, the first person to stick their hand up and give me a correct answer will get a prize. So the first question I want to ask, the first person to put their hand up to give me one of the Bethapila principles. The next question, a little bit more difficult, I think. The first person to give me one of the KZN specific Bethapila principles. Oh, nobody? Ha, 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 ha. Ah, ah, ah.
It's service delivery impact.
Yes, come. Actually worded a bit differently, but I'll... Okay, just for clarification, it's innovation and excellence and customer impact, which is why we're here today. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to apologize. My Zulu is found lacking, so I'm going to read one sentence which I had to research very hard, and I promise I'll do better. Ngiyazi zolo ukuti, loku isitulo, uzowetwa, ngezingizi, nginjami, ubungoti, ngolimi, iwezizulu, ngapanzi, kwezinga. I hope that means what I thought it means. Respected colleagues, esteemed mayor, and distinguished guests, I am deeply grateful for the chance to be here today. A gesture from the leadership of eThekwini municipality that resonates with promise and optimism. This opportunity signifies a hopeful step towards enhancing the bonds between the municipality and its ratepayers. Meetings like this one are not just valuable, but essential, as we collectively strive for the future prosperity and success of our beloved city. As ratepayers, we see the potential for eThekwini to become a beacon of exemplary service, where every interaction is an opportunity to strengthen our community. So I'm going to just cover a few topics, and in addition to our first speaker today, two important elements came of that: people and values. Yobatha Pile stands for people first. I want to add one extra element to that: vision. Without vision, you will be floundering. So, just to deal with the first one, as part of the vision, the power of positive change, how do we promote that positive change? And it's all about the experience. As a vice chair and over 20 years experience in the property industry, dealing with eThekwini Rates Department, sorry, I'm going to pick on you today, I have experienced the intricacies of municipal interaction. My role often places me in challenging situations, mediating between the municipality's processes and the urgent expectations of ratepayers, sellers, or purchasers. How does this impact? In this role, I have frequently encountered high levels of frustration stemming from delays or inefficient feedback from the municipality. So with that, I'm going to pose a couple of questions. How many of you, by a show of hands, have bought a property? Who's bought property? Okay. I want to ask you guys, have any of you experienced a delay in your property as a result of a rates clearance certificate? That unfortunately happens daily, and more so right now than any other time in my 22 years. The point I'm trying to make is, if you have purchased the property and you've experienced that delay, then you should understand exactly what every client or citizen that you have to serve experiences on a daily basis. The frustration when you need to move into your new property, and for many it is the first property they've ever bought or probably will buy in their lives. So it's a really stressful, anxious, but exciting period in their life. To have that kind of distress and without knowing what the real problem is, that is what we have to manage as individuals who serve our community. These situations are particularly challenging when I have to face ratepayers undergoing financial hardship, emotional distress, or health issues. They understandably find it hard to accept any complications or delays in service delivery. I've often had to deal with transfers where literally the seller is on their deathbed, and I'm looking forward to meeting the rates department staff later. But they've had many emails from me where I plead to please attend to the matter urgently to get the transfer through before the person actually passes on. And unfortunately, there has been situations where the person has passed and we couldn't get the transfer through because of the rate certificate. So I said earlier, people are one of the elements, the stakeholders. I am one of those people. You are one of those people. You experience the service delivery yourself. So understanding the dynamic of what we have to deal with that is part of how you can change the situation. I think often in the hustle of our daily lives, it's easy to overlook the human aspect, the real people involved in each interaction. We must remember, people are emotionally driven. You are emotionally driven. I am emotionally driven. Everyone seeks acknowledgement and a sense of belonging. Positive interactions are not just desired, they are essential to our emotional well-being. Daily frustrations and disappointments can influence our behavior, often leading to projecting negative emotions onto others. Grasping the reasons behind these emotions is key to fostering the positive engagement. So if you are met with a very upset citizen on any particular day, stop for a moment. Understand what is happening. Why is this person reacting the way they are? By making deliberate effort to comprehend the who, the person, and the why, their situation or feelings, we open ourselves to greater understanding. This enlightenment is not only beneficial for creating a positive encounter, but also nourishes our own need for acceptance and significance. So not only will the customer feel better at the end of the day, but you yourself will also take away from that experience. Every positive interaction we foster not only benefits the person on the receiving end, but also enriches us, fulfilling our innate desire for meaningful connections and recognition. Focusing on the human element in every interaction leads to more fulfilling and effective customer service experiences for both parties involved. So, another one of the elements that our main speaker spoke about ties in so nicely with what I have written down. Transparency and accountability. Imagine opening your inbox and finding an email not just filled with routine queries or complaints, but one expressing heartfelt gratitude. How many of you would rather have an email like that when you open your email? I know I would. Picture an email from a ratepayer who had a concern which was not only understood by the municipal official, but was also effectively and efficiently resolved. As I read out this expression of gratitude, I invite each one of you to reflect on the impact such a recognition would have on you. Consider how receiving such an email would make you feel, the sense of accomplishment, the pride it would bring you, and the motivation it would instill in you to continue providing exceptional service. This isn't just about the satisfaction of a job well done. It's about the profound impact our dedication and empathy can have on the lives of those we serve. And the email goes as follows. I would like to express my profound appreciation for your support during the recent delays. I understand navigating the complex issues faced within the municipality is no small feat. Yet your dedication to addressing our concerns and consistently answering our calls has not gone unnoticed by the Bluff residents. Your efforts have reignited a spark of optimism in a community that had almost accepted the notion that our neighborhood was beyond help. Your readiness to help and the extraordinary measures you took this weekend are truly commendable. I hold deep hope that your caliber will continue to fill key roles within the municipality. Through such leadership, I believe we can revitalize our city and restore its splendor, creating an environment where residents can safely enjoy outdoor weekends and visit local attractions with peace in mind. It is thanks to you that a small but significant hope is rekindled within me. Come on, would that not make you feel good? So shouldn't you aspire to receive an email like that every day, consistently throughout your day? Despite a delay in this particular honesty and integrity, this openness transformed the usual tension into understanding and patience. This incident didn't just resolve a problem, it showed the immense potential of proactive and transparent communication in building trust and easing the anxieties of those we represent. So, my other element that I mentioned was vision. What is your vision for the future? And you must think about this. You must have vision. Without a vision, you are not going to be able to successfully complete your daily tasks. This experience, for example, of the potential eThekwini staff have. It showed that a shift in your service culture towards consistent transparency and proactive communication, what was once an exception, can become the norm. Such a transformation in your approach can not only alleviate immediate concerns, but also foster long-lasting trust and cooperation with our community. Experiencing such a positive encounter can have a profound emotional impact. That I just want to quickly briefly touch on is trust. And I want to add a quote: to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. The trust transfer is exceptionally important in the success of any relationship with your community. And any thriving community, the bedrock of harmony and progress is trust. This is especially true in the relationship between ratepayers and the municipality. Trust is not merely about believing in the capabilities of each other. It is about creating a reliable foundation for every interaction we have. And I'm going to repeat, the foundation of every interaction we have. For us as ratepayers, trust in our municipality begins with the assurance that our needs, concerns, and aspirations are not only heard, but are met with genuine commitment and action. You've heard this one before this morning. It is about knowing that when we reach out for support or services, our municipality responds, not just as a governing body, but as a partner invested in our well-being. Imagine a future where every interaction with the municipality reinforces this trust, where every response, every service, every policy is a statement to a transparent, accountable, and committed municipal body. In this vision, trust is not an abstract concept, but a tangible experience in our daily lives. It is in the prompt resolution of a billing query, the transparent communication about service delays, or the accountable handling of public resources. This vision of trust is about consistency, consistently reliable, and consistently accountable. By building this level of trust, the municipality doesn't just provide services, it builds a legacy of reliability and integrity. This is the eThekwini vision we envision. A municipality that sets the standards for trust and excellence today, but the ratepayer must not just hear the promises, but must feel it come alive and must experience it. Come on, guys. Can we not compete and make eThekwini better than Cape Town? I like living here. I don't want to live in Cape Town, but I want my city to be better than what Cape Town looks like. So what does progress look like? Responsiveness, obviously. Responsiveness in our context goes beyond mere reaction to inquiries or complaints. It's about actively listening and promptly addressing the needs and feedback of ratepayers. This quality is the heartbeat of progress and a key driver of satisfaction with our community. When ratepayers feel that their voices are not only heard but also acted upon with urgency and efficiency, it instills a sense of belonging and trust in the municipal system. And we're going to have to work hard to rebuild that trust. Responsiveness should be reflected in every facet of your interactions with the community, from the swift handling of service requests to the timely dissemination of information and updates. The second element, very important, is proactivity. To elevate the city's standards of responsiveness, the municipality may consider successful models from other cities and sectors. For instance, adopting a digital platform. We know we've done that. Honourable Mayor touched on that. However, I want to suggest one addition to that platform that may make a world of difference, and that is real-time tracking of service requests. This could significantly enhance transparency and speed in addressing the ratepayer's concern. Not only will the ratepayer know when their query is going to be attended to, but it also holds the official that have been chosen to respond to that query to a certain standard to respond within a certain time. Another approach could be the implementation of regular community forums or feedback sessions where ratepayers and municipal representatives can engage directly, allowing for immediate discussion and resolution of issues. Whilst we have got a ward councillor, we must remember that that is very much politically based, and not everybody subscribes to the political way of doing things. Training municipal staff in proactive communication and customer service excellence, like we have today, can transform the way the city interacts with ratepayers. These initiatives are not just about solving problems faster, they are about creating a culture where responsiveness is ingrained in every action the city takes. By being proactive, the city can anticipate and address concerns before they escalate, ensuring that the community feels supported, valued, and respected. So an example, and I'm sure you all know, a recent evening photograph shared on social media showcasing a pristine CBD street received an overwhelmingly positive response from the community, filled with awe and gratitude. This imagery marks a significant step towards enhancing our environment, but it's important to note that such efforts need to be sustained and regular. Replicating this level of cleanliness across the entire city is crucial for creating a lasting positive impact. This consistency in maintaining our urban spaces is key to fostering a cleaner, more welcoming city for all. Satisfaction, this is why we're here today, is customer satisfaction. And just going back to my previous question, for those that have bought a property, in your interactions with your customers today, and you put yourself on that side, can you honestly say that you would have been satisfied as a customer? That is one of the questions you need to keep in the back of your mind. At the core of a flourishing municipality lies the essential concept of mutual satisfaction, where the needs and expectations of ratepayers align with the municipality's service and support. If these two don't meet each other, we've got problems. This is not just about meeting basic requirements, it's about fostering a community where both sides, the ratepayers and the municipality, thrive together. When ratepayers express satisfaction, it is a testament to the municipality's effectiveness in understanding and fulfilling its community's unique needs. This sense of satisfaction strengthens the fabric of our city, creating an environment of pride, connection, and well-being for all. It's very difficult to be prideful of your environment when it looks the way it looks, and it just compounds. Many ratepayers do not have a problem engaging on cleanup operations, but they don't want to do that consistently by themselves, and the municipal staff members joining them on those efforts. So those type of engagements are very important. Importance of ratepayer feedback and future improvements. It is imperative to emphasize that the journey towards complete satisfaction must be guided by continuous feedback from ratepayers. You must remember, we are experiencing, so you have to engage with us to understand our experience. Otherwise, you cannot plan. The true measure of success lies in how well the city's initiatives resonate from the needs of its ratepayers, may risk embarking on projects that, while well-intended, might not address the actual requirements of its community. Therefore, integrating ratepayers' feedback into your planning and decision-making process is crucial. It ensures that your efforts are not just well executed, but are also relevant and impactful to those you serve. And I know what you're going to say, but there's an IDP. Feedback should not be just be viewed as a tick box exercise. It involves genuinely listening to ratepayers. Many of these individuals possess considerable expertise and a wealth of knowledge that the municipality can utilize. Tapping into this resource is essential for ensuring the success and prosperity of the city. So it can't just be a presentation, it has to be an engagement, a debate where input is given from the ratepayers. Celebrating the small wins, and my illustration with the chocolates earlier was strategically done to demonstrate a small win. How did it make you feel getting that chocolate because you were successful? As ratepayers, we do appreciate the steps already taken by the municipality towards enhancing service delivery, from process improvements to technological advancements. These achievements reflects your dedication to bettering the ratepayers' experience, and we are grateful. Yet the path ahead the path ahead requires us to build on these successes, constantly seeking feedback and adapting to the evolving needs of your community. Your commitment to this dynamic process of listening, adapting, and improving will pave the way for a future where satisfaction is not the end goal, but a continuous, evolving journey, enriching your community in every aspect. Let's work together to guarantee that every stakeholder has the opportunity to share in the celebration of the city's successes. In summary, as we reflect on today's discussion, let's reinforce our shared vision for eThekwini, a vision of a service-orientated, trust-filled, and responsive municipality. Imagine a future where every interaction with our municipality is not just a transaction, but a step towards building stronger community bonds, where trust is not just expected, but experienced in every service, every response, every commitment the city makes. In this vision, eThekwini stands as a model of excellence, where responsiveness to ratepayer needs is swift and effective, and where satisfaction is a mutual achievement celebrated by all. This is the eThekwini we aspire to create, a city defined by its dedication to its people, its efficiency and service, and its unwavering commitment to improving the lives of every individual in our community. Together, we hold the power to make this vision a reality. This transformation requires more than just plans and policies. It requires the heart and dedication of each municipal staff member. Let us embark on this journey with unwavering enthusiasm and a deep commitment to excellence. Excellence. If you remember one thing I said, remember excellence. Let us work hand in hand, ratepayers and municipality alike, to build a legacy of exceptional service that will be the pride of our city and an aspiration for future generations. The path ahead is filled with opportunities and challenges, but united in our purpose and our vision, there's no limit to what we can achieve. Together, let us shape an eThekwini that is not just functional, but exemplary. A city that doesn't just meet expectations, but exceeds them, creating a brighter, more connected future for all. Can we have a commitment that 2024, we're going to exceed Cape Town? We're going to be the tourists' destination and not play second fiddle to Cape Town. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison, for that. Colleagues, I'm going to call up our next panel member, Dr. Ntokozo Makoba, who is the director of the Ntokozo Makoba Research and Consulting Enterprise. She has experience in academia, more specifically as a lecturer at UKZN. She also does have experience within the private sector as well as the public sector, including your parastatals. She recently served as a director for corporate services in the Greater Kokstad municipality, focusing on your customer care, your switchboard functionalities, just to name a few. Additionally, she does have extensive experience within organizational development, change management, business process engineering, batupele, as well as your service delivery implementation. So can we please give her a round of applause?
Thank you. Am I audible? Is it good? Thank you. Thank you, Program Director, for such an introduction. You know, certain introductions make you seem like a giant, although I am a giant, I guess, you know, physically. But they make you seem like a giant, you know, in terms of what you have accomplished. And then, you know, it puts sort of a challenge to say, you know, you need to rise to the occasion. Thank you very much for the introduction. His Worship, Honorable Kaunda. We are blessed to be here, and we are blessed for your invitation. I would also like to greet Councillor Madlala, I believe the Portfolio Chair for Governance. We are honored to have you here. I would like to greet senior management, if they are present, managers, officials of the municipality. I would have loved, Honorable Mayor, to see your senior managers in such, I don't know whether they are present, I know that a few are present. I would love to have seen them, because as much as it is important for them to be at work and to work and whatever you, but we know the saying that if you are going to cut a forest, you need to sharpen the saw. Oh, ngikhuluma ngedwa nje. Oh, okay, thank you. Is this on? Okay, oh, that's much better. You know, I would have loved to see them here. It's quite important for senior managers to attend such. Because they get, you know, different perspectives from different role players. And it's quite important for them from time to time, you know, to find and to get, you know, the perspectives of other people so that they are able to go back and do their homework in terms of what needs to be done. I think, you know, I would like to, you know, congratulate the Honorable Mayor for such a lecture. It's a very good initiative, and can we give him a clap of hands for that? Because it's an indication that he has interest in making things better. It's an indication that he is listening to what is happening on the ground. It's an indication that he feels that eThekwini can still do better. It's an indication, I think it's a blessing that you still receive complaints. That's a blessing. You know, people in other municipalities are no longer complaining because they are thinking, why should we waste our time? You know, nothing is going to happen in any way. So, you know, you need to take your complaints seriously, and you need to go back to the communities with the idea to change things and to change their experiences. I think that I'll talk from various perspectives, because as was said, you know, I like to think of myself as an academic in a way, because I was in academia, also as a public servant, because that is where my passion lies, you know, but also as a resident of eThekwini. When you talk about customer service, I'm sure that maybe some people might think, why are we bothering about this thing in any way? Why are we talking about customer service? People are getting their services, they're able to pay for their services, they are able to do 1, 2, 3. But the greatness of customer service is seen in the fact that it is in the Constitution. We are not giving customer service, we are not having, a customer-centric culture just because it's an option. It is in the Constitution. And the mayor, I think, knows that it is in the prescripts, it is entrenched in the Constitution. It is something that we have to do. We have no other option. Why are we then failing as municipalities? And this is a general statement. Why are we failing as municipalities to give customer service that wows our customers? Why? It's a question that I would like you, to think about. If you listen to the lecture of Mr. Shezi, he spoke of the soul of the organization being important in customer service. Can you think of something that doesn't have a soul? He said an organization has a soul. And he gave us various factors which collectively make the soul of an organization. And one of those was the culture. I cannot express the importance of the culture enough. Culture is important in any organization, it's important in any municipality. Yet it is something that is always shifted to the side, and we focus on the constructive. We focus on our SIDP, we focus on our SDBIP, we focus on our projects, and we forget culture. Yet we are always going to fail if we do not have a culture which supports the vision of the municipality. What is the vision of the municipality? I don't have chocolates, but what is the vision of the municipality? What is the vision of the municipality? I thought that you were all going to say, oh yeah, I know it's there, I saw it. I know it's there. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. If you look at the vision of the municipality, it says by 2030, eThekwini will be Africa's most caring and livable city. 2030 is in 7 years' time. When was that vision developed? Who knows? Yes. It was developed, I think the deputy city manager knows you are going to get this wrong. So as a good, senior manager, he says, let me save them. In 2000, it was developed in 2000. We are 7 years from 2030. If we had to look into it and say, are we anywhere near us being Africa's most caring and livable city? Are we anywhere near that? And I'm asking the people who are the authors of that vision and who are working towards that vision. Everybody in the municipality works towards that vision. When you wake up on a daily basis and go to work, that is what we are doing. That is where you're moving to. Are we anywhere near that? That is a question that we should ask ourselves. When you look at the IDP, the vision I've already said, but I thought about the culture of the municipality, because we are talking about a customer-centric culture. And then I thought to myself, I wonder what the culture is currently. And if you want to look at what the culture should be, the first place you go to is the strategy of the organization. In this case, I went to the IDP and I said, okay, what are the values? Because the values reflect the culture of the organization. I looked at the values. What are the values of the municipality? What are the values of the municipality? Anybody knows? Okay, I had a bit of a problem finding them, first and foremost. I looked at the IDP, they were nowhere to be found. And I found that very strange. Maybe a person from IDP might say, no, they're there, but the fact of the matter is, when you look at your IDP, the vision, the mission statement, the objectives, the values, you always find them together, and they are always on the top of the IDP. Because before you look at, what needs to be done, you want to see what is the intent, what is the intention of the municipality. And I Googled, I'm sort of giving you, things to think about, homework, and things to look at. And then, I Googled them just on their own to say values. And then I found them, I think they were in the municipality's website. And it says the core values of the municipality are sustainability, economically successful city, caring city, smart city, poverty reduction, and democratic, and then it says an equal city. Does that sound right? Are those the values of the municipality? Okay. I would like to go back to the Constitution when it comes to the values. It says public administration must be governed by democratic values and principles enshrined in the Constitution, including the following: high standard of professional ethics. I'm just going to pick, I'm not going to read all of them. High standard of professional ethics, efficient, economic, and effective use of resources. It must be development-oriented, impartially, fairly, equitably, and without bias. People's needs must be responded to, and the public must be encouraged to participate in policymaking. Accountability, provide public with timely, accessible, and accurate information, and so it goes. And when you look, the values are already in the Constitution. Shouldn't we then, as municipalities, just incorporate such into our IDP? If an organization or municipality says nothing about ethics in their values, already I'm like, Because then, if you are not mentioning it, it means that corruption might fester, and I'm not saying that it is, but corruption might fester in the organization or in the municipality. Ethics are very important. If you are saying nothing about transparency also, I think Ms. Skuman already gave you a list. She spoke about trust. Mr. Shezi spoke about dignity. Those are the basics. We would like to see such values in the municipality, because that is what then informs your culture. That is what then should be taken into your annual performance plan, into your performance agreements as well. Senior managers must say, what is it that they are doing in terms of ensuring ethical behavior in the municipality or within their departments? That is quite important. What is not there will not be reflected in the municipality. So I think that if I just touched on a little bit on the IDP, which is the strategy of the department, because you build from the IDP, you build from the strategy of an organization. Just to say, the municipality must spend time to look at its IDP, to look at its vision, to look at its values, so that they are able to implement. Their policies must respond to their values. Their systems must respond to their values. Everything that is done must respond to the values. And you cannot implement something that is not there. You cannot be transparent if it is not a value of the municipality. The SDBIP, yes, it has to be implemented, but the how part is also quite important. Things like, which are reflected in the values must be measured also when you do your performance management. That is quite important. So I know that I have, sort of given you something to think about as a municipality, but it is important that you work towards having a customer-centric culture within the municipality. I must say, sometimes, the municipality, as a resident, sometimes the municipality wows you. Sometimes the municipality, it seems like, I don't know, there are people who are performing very well, and then you have, on the other hand, people mayor, because they give us a bad name in the municipality. Kube ngathi ene abantu abasebenza komasipala bafuna ukusebenza, which is not the case at all. So mayor ne senior management ekufanele jaha amavila kahle kahle. So we sometimes you are wowed. Sometimes you feel like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with these people? You shout and you send WhatsApp messages, you do all those things, and such. But last week I had a problem with my electricity, it tripped. And literally 10 minutes after sending a WhatsApp message, the guys were standing at the gate. And I was like, wow, that was very good. Yes, but we need more of those. We need more of those. And when people are employed, we need people like that who are going to encapsulate the vision of the municipality, the people who are going to encapsulate the values of the municipality. Honorable Mayor, this is the end of my story, and I thank you for inviting me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you to Dr. Ndozo Makoba. Colleagues, we're on our last panel member for the day, and thereafter we will then take comments or any questions from the floor, as well as from our colleagues who are joining us virtually. Our last speaker is Mr. Siphoqele, who is the Deputy City Manager for the Governance and International Relations Cluster. Mr. Cele is also the Municipal Electoral Officer for the eThekwini region for IEC of South Africa. Mr. Cele has over 30 years experience in the private sector, the public sector, including your parastatals, with that experience spanning over your corporate services, your governance services, as well as public service. Mr. Cele began his career in customer services whilst selling insurance in the 90s, and finally to pioneering the establishment of the Sizakala Customer Services Unit, which at that point in time was called our one-stop shop in the early 2000s. And so colleagues, a round of applause for DCM Siphoqele.
Thank you, Program Director. And greetings to Your Worship, Councillor Collins Kaunda, and greetings to my boss, Councillor Umadlala Hloko. I hope uzongijaha bese ngiyabajaha now. And greetings to my fellow panelists and also the colleague, friend, and old associate. I'm very close to retirement. I've always been announcing this, and the relationship that I have with Mr. Shezi spans over decades. I won't say how many. But thank you for the inspiring talk. From a municipal perspective, colleagues, the lecture in the first place, in my view, validates that which we have accomplished and attempted to do in the 23-year journey that we have as the municipality of eThekwini since our formation in 2000. Dokotela asked how many years are we from 2030, and indeed we are 7 years. And probably a lecture like this one happens at a very apt moment where we have to then take stock of what we have done and what we still need to do in order to accomplish the 2030 vision that we have as a city. Unfortunately, a vision does not give us the luxury of moving a goalpost, and therefore we have to do what we said in 1983, Dlaba, when we created the UDF, when we said we must consolidate and advance. And I think in this instance, we are at a point where, as we take stock, we then have to consolidate the good work and the great achievements that we have done as the city in the various areas that Udlaba has outlined, whether it's in the space of human capital, in the space of us doing the right thing, transparency, accountability, trust, as some of the panelists have actually made, in that building that we have been doing that, of course, to varying degrees and varying levels of success, which then means going forward, where we are lacking, we then have to do what is necessary to actually fast track ourselves in those spaces. We have to probably stabilize some of the areas that appear to be turbulent and so forth. The aim, in my view, of a lecture such as this one is to actually help us to be spurred into further action and be able to then do those things that we have been lax on and carry on doing the things that we are good at and that we have been doing. Over the 23 years, I think we have moved from being what is called regional centers, which was administrative centers where people could just come and conduct and transact with the municipality. As we disestablished the old Durban Metro and the entities of Outer West, Inner West, and we were worried as to where is it that a person that would ordinarily conduct and transact with their municipality in Pinetown on the, it was I think on the 29th of, on the 5th of April, 2000, on the 6th, where would they go to conduct their business as everything had been consolidated to the center? We have moved from that response to a need like that into what we call our customer care centers and our various platforms of engagement with customers, where we have a structure such as this, where our customers can walk in and engage with us on a variety of services that they require. They could actually talk to us via WhatsApp, they can talk to us via email, they can lately talk to us via Facebook and the messaging that is there, and so on and so forth. And we even monitor and watch what happens on TikTok, what people say about us on TikTok, and begin to work out ways and means of reacting and responding to those. As I said, we have provided the platforms for engagement. Included in that would be the community engagements through face-to-face engagements with the public in meetings, etc., etc. But I think what we need to be doing going forward, which we have to work towards or work at, is how do we then give content to the engagements that we have, so that it's not just about saying the app is available, but it must be that the app is available, it does this, and it actually does yield the desired effect and the desired result, as it were. And I think, having said that, we also need to make customer service the responsibility of people here and beyond these staff members that we see here. Unfortunately, when things are not working, we say the customer care colleagues are not doing their job. And when things are working, we will then say, hey, electricity did a good job, and not realize the fact that it's the hard work that we're doing that seeks to engender a customer-centric consciousness in the employees of the city, so that when the customer says, I have an electricity problem, and it comes through the call center, the colleagues who are technicians will then respond to that. And how, in a continuous way, we can actually have the system working so that it does make the whole city and the whole system to be recognized as a city that is customer-centric, and therefore does the things that people are expecting of us. We have highly trained people here in customer care, and I think we then need to, when we were in business schools in the early, I don't know, say which decade, but there would be a case study that they would tell us about of Disneyland, where it's not just the people that are in the information kiosks that would tell you about the theme park. It's people that would sweep the theme park, that would be able to give you information, as much information as you would need, direction, what amusement activities are there on the day. A person that does the sweeping would even be able to give you that information, which then says we must take it beyond the people that interact formally, but also to the people that are supposed to be in various places wearing a badge of the municipality, and they can then be able to provide assistance and direction to where people can get assistance if they can't give it themselves, as it were. And therefore, I think it's the kind of things that we would then develop ourselves into. And I'm saying we are about deepening the content of the service delivery and the customer-centric approach that we're actually supposed to be espousing. So that the skills development process, therefore, has got to be beyond the people that are at the call center so that they speak nicely to people, but it also must go to the technician when they rock up at your gate, Dokotela. What do they say to you? And how do they behave when they are there? and how do they conduct themselves as they execute the responsibility they've come there for. Abafiki bahlale phansi baqale baphuze itiye, bacele ushukela wakho and all that, when they've been asked to just come and fix an outage electricity or a leakage yamanzi. So that must then be sensitive to, they must be taught to be sensitive to the customer that they are going to be servicing, but also limit their responsibilities to that which they are employed to do in the first instance. And if they have got to give information, they've got to give information from a point of view of knowing it and be accurate about it and be honest. If they cannot give that information, to say, I will then find out or refer you to a place where you can get the information, as it were. And maybe lastly, what I need to mention here is that we do have a value system for the city. We developed it back in 2017, and maybe as usual, they say government programs and processes move slow. It is only now that we are beginning a process where we are getting it to be ingrained and, as they would say, mainstreamed in the operations of the organization, so it becomes part of our culture. We have got a very nice acronym for it. We refer to it as practice, and it deals with professionalism as being a cornerstone of what we do, and professionalism has got the elements which the panelists have been talking about, especially Udlaba. It talks about us being resilient as a city and also as employees of the city. It talks about us being accountable, which brings in the transparency matters, the trust matters. It talks about us being caring, compassionate, and also putting ourselves in the shoes of the customer so that we service them in a manner that is to their satisfaction and gives them that feeling. Unfortunately, as the panelists were saying, feelings are things that you cannot place a finger on, but a satisfied person will tell you, I'm satisfied, and you'll see the way in which they then deal and interact thereafter. It talks about teamwork. We did have a very big problem of silo mentality, and therefore we did want to actually break those silos and emphasize the issue of teamwork. It talks about integrity, which relates to the trust issues that we were raising earlier. It talks about customer centrism. And lastly, it talks about excellence, which I think you also spoke about, fellow panelists. So I think we do have a set of values. It's now upon us to then move forward. As we travel the last mile of our journey, which is the last 7 years, towards us attaining that which is enshrined in our mission, in our vision as a city, we then have to make sure that we do what I said earlier: fast track in the areas where we are left behind, consolidate and maintain in the areas where we are doing well, and of course, in the areas where we have been neglecting activity, we need to, in a very innovative way, with a sense of urgency, begin programs and processes that are actually going to actually make us catch up, initiate and catch up, so that by the time we reach 2030, we are able to then look back and say, we have indeed traveled a journey that was worth traveling, and we have accomplished that which we sought to accomplish. But most importantly, the customers that we are saying we are doing it on behalf of need to validate that and confirm that indeed it has been achieved. Thank you very much for listening to me, and of course, thank you very much to the panelists for the inputs that you have made. Certainly, as a city and as city employees, we are up for it, and we are geared for it. And of course, in the next 7 years, watch us, and you'll see us achieving. Thank you.
Colleagues, that was our last speaker, DCM Cele, leading customer services function within the municipality. And so you do have your homework for the next 7 years. There are people watching, that we do become responsive and transparent and proactive. So colleagues, I'm going to open up the floor for questions and comments from our last 5 speakers, and we are also going to be getting some comments and questions, hopefully from the chat via our colleagues streaming. So do we have any questions or comments quickly? Okay. Okay, we'll take a question or a comment from Goodman. Do we have any? Can I get another 2 hands? Okay, Goodman, we'll take your question or your comment, and then I'll just randomly just pick from the audience. Thank you.
Should I stand?
Stand, please.
Thank you, Program Director. We thank our Mayor for organizing such an event, and we thank all the speakers that have spoken. I think they have said a mouthful in terms of building this organization, which is our municipality. However, I want to quote on what Dr. Makoba spoke about in terms of values, which will include one of the values, which is transparency. I just want to use that part in terms of there is a lot of unhappiness with our staff, There are a lot of things that are happening, and our staff are the greatest investment. And if the staff are not happy about certain things, and then obviously will affect service delivery. It will not affect only service delivery, but it will affect the customer who is at the receiving end. So I would like to request that there is a lot of communication that takes place in terms of various things that are happening with staff benefits, promotional opportunities, and all those things, performance bonuses and all those, so that staff are happy. If there is a lack of transparency on communication, then obviously there will be challenges with service delivery or customer service. An unhappy employee obviously will, there's a big chance that they will render an unsatisfactory service. I also want to comment on the Dr. Keswa as the different service levels that are received by the various communities. I want to say, colleagues, that there is a thin line between service delivery and economic class. There's also a thin line between service delivery and political affiliation, So I think if we can try and work around that, and maybe political affiliation and economic class, try and minimize that part so we can have service delivery or customer service that is almost, satisfactory. I know we cannot get 100%. I always say, for instance, myself as an African person, I notice that usually it's us as Africans who are rioting for service delivery. And the question is why? Once an African has voted for a councillor, they sit back and say, okay, we voted for this person and we expect them to help. And then they sit back and then they realize, no, this person is not giving us this what we expect. And they start routing. We're not like other races. Other races, they complain now and again. So you won't find them routing in the streets. So if you can teach our councillors that once you've been elected, you are now a father of all. If you are a mother of all, you don't discriminate and say, this one, did you vote for me or you didn't vote for me? Forget about that. Now you are in charge. Now you must provide service. So such things, colleagues, such education is important so that we are able to achieve what is required. I think let me stop there before I spoil it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Goodman, for your comment centering around transparency, inequality of services delivered, as well as how then do we induct our councillors to service all citizens. Colleagues, do we have any more questions and comments? You're covered. We're rushing to lunch. Okay. Pearl, do we have any comments or questions? Okay. Okay, some are still typing, but I think that then says that our panel did a very good job in articulating their messages. It's clear and everyone has understood what we need to do as a municipality, more particularly as customer service. So our next, we do have a question and a comment. Okay, we've got a question or a comment from Agnes.
Thank you for the presentations from all the speakers. Mine is just a comment to us all as colleagues. There were a number of issues that were raised by the panelists. I'll quote from Ms. Kuman, the issue of the delays on the rates clearance certificates. That requires all of us. It's not only looking at the section that issues the rates clearance certificate. It requires, because what constitutes the bill is constituted by evaluations where there is rates that has been charged on the bill, and also the service departments, because meters have to be read on the meters before an assessment is issued. So without the collaboration from all stakeholders within the departments in the municipality, then that affects our customers. I'm talking about external customers. It also affects us as internal customers because we will get the query from the customers and there is a lack of service from other internal customers. It does affect all of us. So all of us, we require to give 100% to what our external customers require from us as the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. Pearl? Okay, our colleagues virtually are noting all the comments as well as the presentations that have been made. I just want to check if any of the panel members would like to respond to any of the comments. Okay.
Thank you, Program Director. I just want to respond. I think the corporate services head in me is sort of saying, hey, you know, there are ways and means. The unhappiness of staff, I think that happiness is a very hard thing to attain. You know, when it comes to happiness, let us say maybe satisfaction, because being happy is an internal feeling that a person, you know, has to attain for themselves. So I'm very cautious, you know, when people say, we are not happy, we are not happy. But what I wanted to say is communication with staff is critical. Being transparent with staff is critical. HR has a function of ensuring that staff is kept on board with everything that is happening within the municipality. HR has a duty to ensure that people know everything when it comes to policies. They do their policy workshops, that people are aware of what they are expected to do, they are aware of the policies of the municipality. I would just like to make an example. I once went to, I think it's called eThekwini Electricity or Customer Care, but I was going to pay my rates. I decided to go there because I also wanted to find some information when it comes to your indigent policy, which is very difficult to find. So I did what I needed to do, and then I asked about the indigent policy, you know, because to me it's linked to my bills and me paying the municipality. And the gentleman said, no, what is that? And I explained the indigent policy is this and that, you know, for I'm unemployed, so I was looking at ways and means, you know, of making it. Unfortunately, the indigent policy kicked me out. But, you know, and he said, no, I don't know anything about it. He was clueless, totally clueless. And to me, that was like, I got so frustrated. I get frustrated because, you know, these are the people who give us a bad name as municipalities, you know, to say these people don't know anything and what have you. So it's very important for people to be taught about policies, to have the policies at hand and such. And one of the things that we did, you know, in the municipality that I once worked in was to have, because as much as the municipality has so many now platforms for the customers, they must also have platforms for the employees, where employees are able to get, you know, the relevant information that they require, because they are also in turn responsible for giving information to the people as well. So what we did was we had an SMS, what do they call it? But we had an SMS app, and where we were conscientizing our employees of everything that was happening. You know, you can write a lot, you know, in an SMS. We just had to make sure that people are kept on board with everything that is happening. So I think that the municipality must also look into that. HR, you are letting your people down if people are, you know, saying that they are not informed. They have a right to be informed. It's a right. It's not a matter of saying that, you know, you are going to do it or you are busy, you can't do it and such. So that's quite important. When it comes to councillors, I know for a fact that councillors are trained. I was one of the people who was appointed by SALGA, you know, after the elections to go and train councillors everywhere in KZN. And I know that they are trained. They know what is required of them. But remember that councillors are also people, you know, and they will act like people. But in terms of training, training was provided for them by SALGA. Training was provided by them with regards to their portfolios also by COCTA. So they are well trained, but you know, we must understand that they are people, you know, and they have their own interests, which comes from their parties and such. But in terms of training, they are trained, they know what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Makoba.
No, thank you, Program Director. I would just like to make one point whilst Councillor Madlala is with us here. And I'm deliberately making it because I'm latching on what the DCM was saying. He was saying that one of his preoccupations right now is the 7 years that remains in terms of the milestone for the 2030 vision. And I wanted to say, I think what you have said, DCM, in terms of consolidating the work that has been done over the last 23 years is critical in terms of how we are going to be dealing with the deficit that remains. All that you really need, you know, right now is to make us happy. Just make us feel good. The rest of the stuff is going to be self-energizing. So the work that you are talking about in terms of consolidating what has been achieved over the last 23 years, it's critical. I was saying to the DCM, it feels so good to sit here and have this program director directing this, you know, gathering. For me, it just simply says, look at what we have achieved. You know, like a few others, including him, I ran a few of these streets here. I never knew until today that the municipality has, behind this facility, put this mammoth facility here, right at the heart, you know, of this. These are the things that we have achieved, you know? And the reason why I'm saying I'm taking the advantage whilst Councillor Madlala is here to make this point is because I know what the challenge is that lies ahead of the DCM. He spoke about him beginning to prepare for his retirement. Now, I know what what underlies that challenge. When I was about to leave Public Works in 1999, that coincided with the completion, you know, Honorable Councillor, of a particular phase when Madiba was moving out. So that work had to be consolidated. The challenge that I had is that I was equally moving out, completing my term of office, and I needed to consolidate that work. And there was a very thin line between consolidating that work for the sake of consolidating it and consolidating my personal gains. But I'm saying, DCM, you have an opportunity here because I think that, you know, the mayor, Councillor Madlala, and other political principals have got a window of another 2 years to consolidate their work as well. Take advantage of that and consolidate this work. And I think that the ability to consolidate that work is going to provide a new narrative. That new narrative is the one that's going to be self-energizing to deal with the deficit that might be bothering you for the next 7 years. And all of it is going to be automated. I'm absolutely convinced that if you make us feel happy and you instill a sense of hope, the amount of energy that is going to unleash in terms of optimum service delivery will unlock a whole range of things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shezi. Panel members, are we all covered this year?
Maybe on the matter of communication, I think it's a matter that we will take home as this session. And I think it does talk to the fact that you need a staff complement that has got the confidence in itself, as Dr. Keso was saying, a staff complement that will know when you are asking about the indigent policy, even though they will not be able to tell you that there's this and that, which is verbatim the indigent policy, but they must tell you that there is a way in which you qualify for the free water service. There is a thing that you need to do to qualify for the free electricity. If you are a pensioner, there is a rates rebate that you receive, et cetera, which are elements of our indigent policy. So that even if they do not know it by its title, they must know the content. And therefore, I think what we then need to be able to do from here is to ensure that that communication is actually given to our staff members and drilled into them so they are able to better serve the communities out there. On the matters that are internal to staff, I think we have supervisors here. Ne? They all have laptops and desktops. They all have access to the intranet. And the intranet has got a listing of policies of municipality. And also we post from communication some of the latest developments. There's info, and so on. I think the challenge that I would like to pose to colleagues here is use the facilities that are at your disposal so that you can then have that information. If at this level we complain about lack of knowledge, how much more the staff that look up to us for guidance, for information on the issues that relate to their welfare as employees in this municipality. Thank you.
Program Director, I do have a question from one of our online viewers who is asking, the name is Nosihle Kuzwayo. She's asking, when will the integration of all call centers start? When will the integration of the call centers start?
Can I take this one? Or will you take it?
I'm going to repeat what the mayor said. And the mayor said it's a commitment that we are making that by the end of December, that milestone would be achieved. We are hoping that the team, I can see the colleagues here led by Ubab Mavuso, Aaron, and the colleagues from electricity, water, and revenue. They are committed to that timeline which the mayor has announced previously, but further emphasized today. So end of December, it will happen.
Thank you, DCM. No more comments and questions. Last comment or question from Akoma, and then we will move to our last item on the agenda. Thank you.
For me, it's not actually a question. It's just something that I think we need to share as colleagues here, that one of our biggest issues is communication. It's communication amongst ourselves and communications with our customers, which causes a whole lot of escalation and delays if we don't communicate. And then the second one would be working in silos. We need to stop working in silos, guys, because working in silos affects a whole lot of people. So we need, as a team, to start working amongst each other. Thanks.
Thank you, Makoma. Last one, Pearl.
Please, can you advise on the one-stop shop? Is it still working in various areas?
The one-stop shop.
Yeah.
The
She's asking if it's still working in various centers.
Yes, the one-stop shops are still working. They have been rebranded as our Sizakala Customer Services Unit. We do have the centers spread across all the regions of the municipality. I stand to be corrected, but I think we are looking at a total of about 45 centers across the communities. So we definitely do still have the one-stop shops, and they are still going to continue servicing the communities. Thank you. Okay, colleagues, not to hold you up, we're going to move to the last item of the agenda, which is the vote of thanks from Councillor Madlala. I do thank you for being a participative audience. I also would like to just extend some gratitude to our panel members in relation to the presentations that were delivered to us. We do have work to do in the next 7 years, and in undertaking that work, after we have consolidated from the past 23 years, let's keep in mind that the municipality or local government, or even just the public sector in its entirety, as well as the communities that we service, we are neighbors walking the same line, the same fence, and really the communication is for the betterment of Durban as a city. And then I will also just remind you of the 2 questions that you need to pose to yourself every day. Who are you and what do you do? So colleagues, as I undertake my last task for the day, I would like you to please rise as we call up Councillor Nkosenhle Madlala, who is the chairperson of the Governance and Human Capital Committee, to deliver his vote of thanks. Usihlalo wami lona, so please, like a loud round of applause. Thank you.
Awuyeni bantu, siyabonga kakhulu. Cha, lento yokusukumela nombali le ayiyekwe la kamasipala. No, thank you very much. Silindo kuhle. I'm called upon to deliver a vote of thanks, and it's just a slot esingaka nje. So I'll try to limit myself to that, although I was inspired by some of the conversation that we are having here and the points that were raised. There are points that I wanted to also, that I was triggered to respond to, but I'll limit myself to what I came here to do, because we've been holding you here for quite some time, and I'm going to announce that we are going to have lunch after this, so let me not then hold you up any longer. Let me start by thanking our program director for doing such a sterling job. Siyabonga kakhulu Kambushe. I want to just deposit one, because Undosi deposited a slogan about that was started a long time ago, and it guides us on what we need to do. Nami ke ngicela ukuqhamuka nesami esithi advance, deepen and defend. I'm saying that in terms of advancing the vision of the city, deepening what we need, what we are here to do and what we have achieved, and defend the gains, because who the lecturer here said, Ubaba Udlaba said, it's an achievement that we have Usilindo Kuhle standing here directing this program. Now, because some of us arrived in this municipality when these achievements, these gains were already here, we take them for granted. And the history tells us that every time you gain something and you take it for granted, it goes away, they take it back. Those who who took it from will reverse those gains. And so basically, hey, whatever happened to this thing? It was fought for, we found it here, we must defend it. Because if we don't, sizoyiluza. Bese sithi kwenzekani konje? As we used to have this, enye izinto eyishiwo uDlaba ukuthi in Lamontville, we used to have, uyibalile izinto that we used to have. Ayikho into eyenzekile ngaphandle kokuthi abantu who grew up lezo zinto zikhona took them for granted. Now they are no longer even making a demand to the municipality to bring back those things because kubona ukuthi hayibo kwenzakalani. Kodwa ke angingangeni lapho kuthiwa ngizobonga abantu la. I have thanked our program director who have steered this ship, Ukambushe. Let me thank the Honorable Mayor, His Worship, Ubaba Umqolisi Kaunda esephumile. Njengoba silana ingenxa yevision yakhe. Athe ivakashi zethu zithe ngaphambi kokuthi kwenzeke yonke into there must be a vision. It was his vision that we have these lectures which are going to stimulate us as a front line ye-service delivery because ngisho ngabe umuntu ucomplaina ngoplumber, ngisho ngabe ucomplaina nge-electrician, ngisho ngabe ucomplaina ngo-engineer, nge-planner, kodwa uma ifika la e-front desk uzofica thina abasebenzi baka-customer service. And the expectation is that we understand the intricacies of planning, of plumbing, of electricity, of the entire municipality. So Tina is seated in the front desk as the frontline staff. We are expected to be the face of the entire municipality. Ngakho ke kubalekile kakhulu ke ukuthi si train siwathole lama lecture esiwatholayo from abantu ababalekile abafana nalabo la emva kwethu ukuze sicije sazi ukuthi ibaleke ngani lento esize ngayo. So siyabonga kakhulu kumeya wethu for these lectures and sithathile ipoint oyenzile dokotela ukuthi the entire senior management of this municipality should be seated here and getting this lecture because ushilo omunye wabantu akade bekhuluma la ukuthi sometimes a frustrated person, as Ms. Kuman said, a frustrated ratepayer will come to your desk asho noma yini afuna ukuyisho kuwena because she expects you to understand ukuthi how the plumber that messed up somewhere, why that plumber messed up, but not failing to understand that the gap between the front line, the front office and the back office sometimes is what needs to be fixed. So ke kumele kubalekile kakhulu ukuthi si understand ukubaleka kwethu. Sidlule sibonge kakhulu ilecture esinikezwe uMr Shezi. Siyabonga kakhulu Dlaba. Nathi ke in consolidating kuyofanele ukuthi siconsolidate la ukuthi le knowledge enihleli nayo esayibhenkayo si withdraw kanjani kancane kancane before sivelelwe inkinga ukuthi sithi hey kwenzakalani kubantu ababesilida konje babethe ini yenzeka nini. Uyabona nje uNdosi usesiholile la theme kubuza ukuthi ini yaqala nini wakwazi ukusho ini yaqala nini. uNdosi is a repository of knowledge ngehistory yalo masipala, how it was consolidated from omasipala abancane kwabakhulu. Nihlala naye la as your DCM bangaki asebeke bangene office lakhe babuza ukuthi eNdosi cha bengithi ngispend lunch yami nje ngizocheck ukuthi siqhamukapi njengoba sila ngoba ezinye zeinkinga eziningi esinazo is not knowing where we are coming from. That is why it is easier even for some of us seated here to complain bitterly about this municipality. Of course we need to complain when things are not going well, but if we took our time to look back at where we are coming from, it will start with being grateful that we are here and then complain about the small things that we need to do and recommit ourselves to move the municipality further because we are here because of the efforts of the people that came before us. When they came before us, they found this municipality in a state. God, they brought it up to this far. It's our responsibility to move phambili. Siyabonga kakhulu Dlaba, inkulumo yakho isithunukile ukuthi kuningi kakhulu. Maningi amanye ama lecture esingaba nawo from just your lecture. Nami ngiyathemba ukuthi it's going to be shared ukuze sikwazi ukuthi siyithathe siyise phambili. Ngiyathemba futhi ukuthi usazoba available for other discussion forums and other engagements esizoba nawo as the municipality as we move forward. Siyabonga kakhulu Dlaba. Sibonge kakhulu Ngelengele. Leyo ukuthi ke inkulumo ethi ukwazi ukuqhathanisa ukuthi uma ngabe iservice eLamont neservice eZwelibovu naseSilungwini ayifani kangakanani. Kune lecture nje singayenza lapho on its own about how our post 1994 government responds to the apartheid spatial planning. In terms of budgeting and in terms of everything else, because if you have a housing policy that says, that is confined and directed by your SCM policy, which says if you have 3 codes, you must take the lowest. If you are looking for land to build houses, and you have these 3 places that we are talking to, your Durban North, your Lamontville, and your Zwelibovu in the outer west, where do you think you'll find the cheapest land? It's going to be in Zwelibovu. It means you are continuing the apartheid spatial planning of placing people away from your opportunities of work, your opportunities of better schools, and from everything else. So you are not any different from the apartheid government that placed our people away from these things. But you are guided and directed by the policies that were passed by ourselves now. So there's a discussion there, a deeper discussion that we need to have. And we need to not to be emotional when we are talking about it, because akukona kodwa lokho kuningi kakhulu okunye esesikwenza in trying to fast track development, siphinde si reproduce the apartheid partial planning and the ills that it brought about. So siyabonga kakhulu. Kwabini yabona ke le yakho ivele yaqhamuka yabo ezikoleni sina sakhula khona abahloli kuthiwa mekuzofika abahloli omem bamelana mathawula amanzi basisula imbici nohlakahla ngoba kufanele mekuzofika umhloli afike ni prep and proper. So eyakho ke ifanele neyomhloli, because besides being an academic, you are also a local government practitioner, and therefore you're posing questions that needs us to go back and work. For instance, the issue of the IDP, the issue of SDPIP, the issue of why is our vision, mission, and where is that located, and all of that. You've given us so much to do and to think about, because some of these things we just accept them as a norm, and only when things are not working we then say, hey, Kanene, where are we? Why do we have this? Why do we have that? So siyabonga kakhulu. Thank you for that. Now, Miss Allison, I was using people's clan names when I was referring and talking to them. We are an equal opportunities employer and city, so I must try. I'm told that your people are from either the Kingdom of Bohemia or Saxony. And the Skumans are actually the shoemans. They were the shoemakers. Yeah. No, thank you very much. We know some people are not going to be happy that you were here, because we interact with a lot of people as a city, and your presence here says that there are people who care about this city. They complain when things are not going well, but they know that things can be better if all of us are working together to make things better. And therefore, your presence here today represents something bigger than what you think and what you intended to do when you came here. And thank you for the chocolate. Ndosi, siyabonga kuwena neteam yakho. DCM Cele, uhead, wakasizakala, nangi yahleli lapha ya, ubaba Chabalala, Donga likamavuso. Unonkosi lapha yana, angisamboni ke umloyi. Kanye neteam yonke. Thank you very, nangu umloyi eduze kwakho, hey. Siyabonga kakhulu team for making this possible. We know that we just see a couple of chairs and people seated on them, but there's a lot of work that went into ensuring that today goes without a hitch, and we thank you for your efforts. Sibonge Ndosi for your leadership. Although we wish other DCMs were here, but we see that they are represented, because we can see Ubaba from water services laphayana ke sekumuntu wala ekhaya ke bandlalo singasho nje ukuthi owaka water ubaba umfunda wala ekhaya. We see other people from other departments. Colleagues, we hope that you will take the lessons that were learned here today back to your places of work and to your different workstations and ensure that they make a difference. Sengiqeda ke sicela ukubonga ama support services wonke, from abantu besound, the caterers. We know that the food we are about to have is delicious, and we thank everyone that made this a successful lecture. Siyabonga kakhulu. Nabe besiphelezele, I know ukuthi Miss Allison came with a bodyguard. No, siyabonga kakhulu. Cela ubuyisela kuwena program director, bekuthiwa ngizobonga nje mina kuphela. Sengicishe ngawuvala impela umcimbi wakho. Kampush.
Colleagues, we're just handing over tokens of gratitude to our panel members, and they will be handed over by our chairperson and head of the unit, Mr. Mavuso Shabalala. Okay, we would like to call up Dr. Ntokozo Makoba first. Thank you, Dr. Makoba. Mr. Siposhezi, who delivered our lecture. Thank you. And then last, second to last or third to last, Ms. Alison Skuman from AMS Attorneys. Okay, and then our creative storyteller, Mr. Mandla Nozulu Keswa. And lastly, DCM Sipoqele. And then while I have the governance executive on the stage, I'd like to request to DCM no Mavuso to please give our chairperson Thank you. getting my gift. Colleagues, we have come to the end of our agenda, or our program for the day. We are going to request just a group photo from our panel members with the executive. However, whilst we do that, lunch is being served in the Sizagala Training Center. So if you could proceed this way, quietly so, while we take our pictures of the panel members and the executive. Can we also have Ms. Squaya coming to join the pictures, as well as Mr. Aaron Mfunda. Thank you.